I haven't done a mage challenge in over 2 years, so why not do it on the hardest difficulty, legendary mode? Looking through the subclasses, there are 4 options: magic guns, spell books, others, which would be a terrible challenge, and wands, which will be the only weapon we will use in this playthrough. Now, luckily for me, there is a wand I can get super early in the game, and in one of the few wooden chests in the living tree, a wand of sparking is inside. And is it any good? Honestly, it's okay. It's not that bad. It does over 10 damage to this slime, which could be much worse. I spend the night dying to enemies. 1 mana star just isn't really cutting it. And I do get enough fallen stars to make a mana crystal. So now I have 40 mana. Now this was recorded around Christmas time, so that's why the enemies are Christmas themed. I then headed right over to the ice biome to get a bunch of ice blocks. And then I could turn my wand of sparking into a wand of frosting. It does 1 extra damage and inflicts a better debuff of frostburn. I continue spelunking the caves, getting life crystals. Eventually I could make the sapphire staff. Now, problem is this weapon isn't that good. It's not the best staff you can make. The best would be the diamond staff, but honestly the wand of frosting is just better. Eventually I decided to shift my focus into the underground desert biome. Now this place is dangerous and I decided to mostly just ignore the enemies. I end up finding a bar statue and a snake charmer's flute and a magic conch, which is always nice. A tomb crawler kills me. I go back to the surface, collect some fallen stars, head back into the underground desert, and another tomb crawler kills me. Now to avoid the enemies on the surface, I was actually using the snake charmer's flute and the umbrella to just glide over them. And I just keep dying in the underground desert. It is very dangerous down here. But eventually I end up getting the thunder zapper, which is a very good wand at this stage. It's really good for single target damage, and my wand of frosting's better for that pierce. And now with full gold armor and full health, I head over to the jungle. I'm at the jungle just to collect some jungle materials, and after a bit I get enough of the jungle drops to make full jungle armor. I then smash some shadow orbs, find the shimmer, make some permanent buffs, and then it starts raining slime. I decide I'm actually going to attempt to beat the king slime at progression. I know, it's crazy. Legendary mode for the worthy, king slime on progression. First boss I beat. It's never been done before. I tried it last playthrough. It didn't work out. I decided to actually use a gravitational potion against him, and it seemed to be doing wonders. I was able to just keep a distance and stay in the air at all times if I wanted to. He did contact hit me once, but I just heal it off. I keep swinging my wand of frosting at him. He's getting smaller now, which makes it much easier. We might actually be able to do it. He does collide right with me, so I do get hit, but I can take a couple more of those. And finally, we have defeated the king slime as the first boss on For the Worthy. This is a monumentous occasion. And then I feel an evil presence watching over me. So having defeated the king slime, I mean, obviously we'll be able to defeat the Eye of Cthulhu, right? The king slime is so much more difficult than the Eye. I'm mainly using the wand of frosting here. One of the main advantages of wand of frosting is it doesn't use much mana at all. The thunder zapper uses a lot more. Also, if you have a problem with how I say mana, I apologize. It's how I grew up reading it. Mana, M-A-N-A. I know it might be mana or whatever. It's the same with melee. I say melee because that's how I grew up saying it. Anyway, Eye of Cthulhu. It's now at second phase, dashing at me. Its servants aren't too much of a problem. They all follow you on basically the same path, so they end up in a ball anyway. I'm utilizing the Featherfall potion, and the Eye of Cthulhu is super low now, and just like that, it has been defeated. And right after the Eye of Cthulhu, a goblin army decides to invade my village. This was fine. I just used my wand of frosting mostly, and finally, the goblin army has been defeated. I then very quickly found the goblin tinkerer bound underground, made my thunder zapper mythical, and I then did some shimmer crafting in hopes of warding for that extra defense, because mage just isn't really cutting it in the defense department. And now it's time for the next boss. You guessed it, Deerclops? Now, why on earth am I fighting Deerclops? I haven't even beat the evil boss. Now, that's because I literally get nothing from the evil boss. There's nothing to gain except a worm scarf. Now, Deerclops is a super annoying boss. I really didn't understand how to fight this boss. I thought that you could just walk through her. I thought she didn't have contact, but she does. So I kept throwing myself at her. She doesn't despawn after dying, so the plan was to just brute force it. I set up a house for the nurse and a bed for myself, and I mean, there's not much to say. It's not really exciting. I'm not beating this boss out of skill. I'm just beating it out of pure determination. But finally, Deerclops has fallen, and I didn't get what I wanted. So I went back to the snow to get a deer thing, spawn her in again, and this time around, I finally got the rhythm down on Deerclops. At least for me, the best thing to do was grapple to the platform above her and jump over her to bait out her attack the other way around. It goes on a 1-2-3 rhythm. The third one is in both directions. Now, the only thing that's annoying about this fight that breaks your rhythm are the shadow hands. They're really annoying. With a boss fight fight that's rhythmic like this, why add in random shadow hands that can just completely ruin your rhythm? The thing is, this wasn't hard. It just took forever, and I didn't get what I wanted. I got the sentry this time. And after another 5-minute fight of Deerclops, nothing. And another 5 minutes pass, and nothing. I fight her again, it takes forever, and yet again, I didn't get what I wanted. Freaking pea shooter again. Ah! I am just throwing myself at this brick wall, hoping for a different result. And 6 Deerclopses later, still nothing. And make that 7. Make it 8. Make it 8. And I finally got a mythical weather pane. Yes! Was it even worth it? No, I really think it wasn't. The idea is that it's helpful because it shoots out a gust of wind that homes in on the enemy, and it stays there even if I switch to another weapon. So it's mainly a support weapon. I then do some fishing and head over to the dungeon. Okay. Why is it buried in sand? Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna mess with that right now. I'm gonna spawn in the Eater of Worlds. I take some big damage from the Eater of Worlds off start. I'm getting pretty low. The spit is doing a lot of damage, and I end up dying pretty quickly. That didn't go so well, so I open up the arena some more, break some shadow orbs, and I end up getting a Vile Thorn. This will actually work better for the Eater of Worlds, but on my next attempt, I mean, the arena was too far away, and I ended up dying. But I spawned it in with some worm food. Hopefully, the Vile Thorn will do a good amount of damage, being that it can pierce straight through all the parts, and it's actually doing quite a bit of damage. The Weather Pane is assisting, but not a whole ton. Normally, the Weather Pane lasts for 9.5 seconds, but if it hits 14 enemies, it'll despawn. I get under 100 health at one point, but we're bringing it back. The Eater of Worlds segments are being destroyed. The Vile Thorn is working wonders, but right at the end of the fight, I get down to 6 health. But fortunately, I managed to pull it back, and we defeat the Eater of Worlds. As I said, that really doesn't do anything for us except a worm scarf, so I move right on to Skeletron. Getting out of the dugout area to get to the dungeon was a bit of a close call, but we ended up doing it, only getting hit once. Apparently, Skeletron's skull bounces off Thunder Zappers when he's spinning. Now, these weapons are kind of mid for Skeletron. It's quite hard to actually hit these hands. The Weather Pane is assisting, but it's mainly just aiming for the skull, and that's not what I want. But eventually, with the Thunder Zapper, we've destroyed one hand. I just need to finish off the other one, which eventually is done. There are Dark Casters shooting at me, but our arena's pretty big, so I'm not too worried about them. I just need to dodge those water bolts. When Skeletron's spinning, I set off the Weather Pane, and now he's not deflecting them with his skull, so that's good. And it's really just the same rhythm of the fight. I'm mainly using the mana regeneration potion to get all my mana back. I'm opting not to really use mana potions here, and with that, Skeletron falls to me very easily. I then head into the dungeon. I open up a chest and find the Cobalt Shield. I pick up a suspicious looking eye, go to put it back in the chest, but accidentally spawn the Eye of Cthulhu instead. So now I'm fighting the Eye of Cthulhu in the dungeon, but luckily it wasn't that hard, so we're all good. It's fine. And then I open up another gold chest and find the Aqua Scepter, one of the better weapons for the Wall of Flesh. I also get a magic missile, which I can use, and I find the mechanic. And with golden keys, I can now search Sky Islands, and I actually find some fledgling wings. Now, what I was really looking for in the Sky Islands was a celestial magnet. I opted to make the celestial cuffs over the magnet flower. I actually don't really like the mana flower a whole lot. I start spawning some fire imps for fire imp banners. I then found Tim underground, giving me a wizard hat for that drip. And I start searching some shadow chests. There are 3 things I want down here. A flame lash, which I end up getting. It's just an upgrade to the magic missile, followed by the flower of fire, which turns me into Super Mario, and my creator plushie from the texture pack that I have on. Maybe this playthrough I'll get it. I didn't get it last time. I searched the entirety of hell, even getting a Happy Days cookie. Once again, there is no CJ DEATHBOT plushie. And then I got started on the trademarked CJ DEATHBOT Wall of Flesh funnel. Now, the one big downside to the funnel strategy is it takes a long time, especially with these enemies attacking me and everything. I decided to try and fight the Wall of Flesh without the funnel, just with the railroad. It didn't end up well. I probably could have done it with more space, without the minecart track, with more maneuverability. I don't even know if I need the funnel, but it does help a lot. And I was already this deep into the funnel. So after a lot of digging and building and using dirt bombs, the funnel is finally complete with my dart trap concoction, and I summoned in the Wall of Flesh, but I actually forgot to funnel the funnel. It's just the tube. Also, I didn't set off the dart trap, so I ended up dying. But I quickly fixed that and spawned in the Wall of Flesh. I actually am not wearing my jungle jungle armor. I'm using some armor mixing. Turns out that if you use the wizard hat and the diamond robe, you actually get a set bonus. And I'm using meteor leggings to match with it. But unfortunately, the wall of flesh didn't funnel properly. I don't know why. I don't know what was wrong with my funnel, but something was. But eventually, there was enough solid blocks that the wall of flesh corrected itself into the funnel. And now things are going pretty smoothly. I'm mainly using the aqua scepter here, but I'm also using the flower of fire, but it doesn't pierce. So the aqua scepter does seem to be the better option, considering it has more knockback and can go straight into the wall of flesh. I just keep spraying the wall of flesh with water, hoping that it will eventually kill it. Good thing is the aqua scepter also doesn't use that much mana. The wall of flesh is now at under 1,000 health, and the funnel has ended, and I actually don't have my rocket boots on. So I just plummet straight into the lava. I keep shooting my aqua scepter, it launches me up, and I end up killing the wall of flesh just like that. That was very close, but we are now in hard mode. Now in hard mode, the first thing I opted to do was actually start fishing in the hallowed. Normally what you'd want here is like prismite, but the thing I want the most is actually a weapon. And after a few minutes of fishing, it appears on my sonar potion, the crystal serpent. So now I can actually do some damage, so I go straight to the corruption and smash some demon altars. I then do the regular hard mode ore grind, collect some crystals and souls of light along the way. I do have titanium, but I shimmer it into adamantite and make some adamantite headgear, and then an adamantite chest plate, and finally some leggings. And then it's a blood moon, so I decided to use this time to farm enemies and mostly mimics. Since enemy spawns are increased, I got a bunch of mimic drops and money, but funnily enough, I didn't get the star cloak, so I farmed some mimics some more and got the star cloak accessory, which I can make into the Mane cloak. And then I made some holy water to spread some hallowed in the desert. This is because I wanted some light mummies to get some light shards. With the light shards and some souls of light and the magic missile from earlier, I made the sky fracture, which is actually a pretty decent weapon. I fought the wyvern a couple times and then farmed some pixies to make the wings filled with testosterone. The destroyer then decided to spawn on me. I obviously couldn't beat this now, and it did 501 contact damage to me. I set up an artificial crimson biome. This was for hemo piranhas to make rage potions and also to fight the brain of Cthulhu. But when the brain got to second phase, it flipped me upside down and I ran out of flight and just started floating upwards, and the brain despawned because it wasn't in the crimson. So I spawned him in again, this time with floor underneath me, and now we get the brain of confusion. Now first boss on the list is the twins. I tried using the crystal serpent on it. It really wasn't working, so I opted to the sky fracture instead. My main target first is spasmatism as usual. It is really hard to hit the twins in legendary mode because they are so small. For the worthy really decreases their size, but the damage is decent. The sky fracture is doing its job, but I do take some big damage, but we mostly regenerate it back. And spasmatism is now in second phase. I'm actually using the crystal serpent because he's attacking me in a straight line, so it's much easier to hit him now. With our maneuverability and dodging spasmatism, we finally defeat him on almost full health. So things are looking pretty good. It's not even halfway through the night, and we've only got Retnazer left. I finally get him to second phase. We're doing huge damage to Retnazer. If I angle the crystal serpent right, I can usually hit it, but I opted to the sky fracture, and I get to under half health, but Retnazer's looking pretty low now, and the twins have been defeated. So now with the twins defeated, that opens up quite a bit actually for us. First up though, I want to make the rainbow rod. The rainbow rod is really cool and one of my favorite magic weapons. It's just a better flame lash basically. I then headed to the underground corruption. It was near hell, so Red Devil actually came to me because the mechanical boss has been defeated, and it dropped a fire feather. So naturally, I made some flame wings, and then I spawned in the old one's army. Now because I've defeated a mechanical boss, this has been buffed. I actually set up some hoiks to make this easier for myself because one player old one's army without any sentries is just incredibly difficult. Then an ogre spawns, which is actually like a submarine here, and it doesn't drop what I want, so I have to fight it again and again. And there it is, the Hammer of Infinite Justice, which is actually a Tome of Infinite Wisdom normally, without the texture pack. Now the cool thing about this weapon is it has a primary and a secondary fire. The primary fire shoots out this straight line of projectiles. It's not bad, it does good damage, but the right click is what I wanted. And the armor I'm actually using now is Old One's army armor for the mage, mixed with some hallowed headgear. And I spawned in the destroyer. Now it spawned in a ball as usual when you spawn it up high like this. I went up to it and started right clicking and was absolutely amazed at the damage I was doing. And due to how gobsmacked I was, the destroyer's head went right into me and instant killed me. I then fought him again and dropped down and got hit by the head again. I'm actually trolling with this fight. I spawn him in once again, go straight for the ball, do big damage, make sure to actually dodge the head, which it almost hit me. The gusts of winds are going straight into the the bowl. And I mean, this weapon is just absolutely busted against the destroyer. It's utterly insane. So now there's only one mechanical boss remaining, Skeletron Prime. I tried using the Tome of Infinite Wisdom on him. It wasn't working. So I opted straight to the Rainbow Rod, which just auto aims onto Skeletron Prime, piercing 3 times so it'll hit his hands and him multiple times. And I'm absolutely destroying his hands. His laser hand is super low. And just like that, the laser hand is already destroyed. This weapon's really good. I can just keep my distance, be at a super big range, destroy his hands really quickly. I mean, this is absolutely the easiest weapon to use against him. I barely get hit this entire fight. And now that all his hands have been destroyed, I mean, it is just a complete snooze fest. All I have to do is fly around him. Literally no issues. Don't get hit a single time after the hands are destroyed. And now all the mechanical bosses have been defeated and the jungle grows restless. I then spawned in the destroyer again because I wanted to see if the Tome of Infinite Wisdom would be good if he wasn't balled up. And I had to know if I could beat this boss with wands only without cheesing it. And it's actually doing really well. I used the Rainbow Rod to clear out the probes. And then with him actually coiled up on his own without cheesing it, I mean, the wind just does crazy damage to it. I then made a chlorophyte chest plate, which with my previous armor is really good armor mixing. I then went down into hell and farmed some more red devils to get an unholy trident. I could have got this earlier, but better late than never. Then with an Avenger emblem and the Celestial Magnet, I made the Celestial Emblem. Quite a good magic accessory, which the magic class is kind of lacking in. Good accessories. I ventured down into an underground spider biome, farmed some black recluses until I got the poison staff. And then the pirates decided to show up. These guys were very annoying, but at least my weaponry is pretty good at this point. Destroyed a Flying Dutchman with some tridents, and then another one, and now the pirates have been vanquished. With the poison staff and some chlorophyte, I made the venom staff. I then made an arena for Plantera. Considering I didn't actually fight the queen bee in this playthrough, I had to actually make one this time around, but I kept it small. It doesn't have to be big at all. My main strategy these days for Plantera is the Osagoth tunnel with the teleporters. But while I was dynamiting it, the queen bee actually spawned. Speak of the bee, and she actually ended up killing me. It's kind of embarrassing, but I killed her at the same time, so we'll call it a draw. And then while I was bombing down, I actually bombed straight into a Plantera's bulb. So I have to fight Plantera without my teleporters, but we might be able to do it. I buff up anyway. We're gonna try it. I did clear out a ton of space with dynamite. I just kept going down, so it should be okay. I have to go up the whole Osagoth tunnel, but eventually I end up getting back to the arena. And now I'm just doing circles around Plantera, using the venom staff to do the most damage. It's actually doing a lot of damage to Plantera in this stage. And then once she gets the second phase, I head straight down into the tunnel, and I actually opt to use the unholy trident here because it pierces straight through all the tendrils and hits Plantera dead on for some good damage. I keep heading down the tunnel, taking some damage here and there. I'm at under half health, but I am chipping at her health quite a bit. She's taking a lot of damage here, and I beat it anyway. Even though I hadn't set up my arena properly, I'm just epic like that. I then went to the desert to find the golfer, and I actually got a desert key, which goes perfectly alongside the crimson key that I got. Now with Plantera defeated, I headed into the post-Plantera dungeon. I quickly got a tabby and black belt to make the master ninja gear. I finally have a dash, and I quickly get the Spectre staff as well. The Spectre staff shoots homing projectiles. It's quite good, not crazy damage, but it is homing. I then moved in the truffle, continued my ventures in the dungeon to get ectoplasm, and the princess moved in. I wanted all the NPCs to get the princess so that I could murder her for her resonance scepter, hopefully. But after killing her, she didn't drop it. She moved in again, didn't drop it. Killed her, didn't drop it. Killed her again, didn't drop it. I went back into the dungeon farming enemies, and I ended up getting an Inferno Fork, which is a good crowd control weapon. And I finally make a full set of Spectre armor with the helmet and the hood. I can switch between them, hood for lifesteal and helmet for damage and melee usage. And I kept killing the princess over and over and not getting her weapon, so I just gave up on it. Honestly, it's outclassed at this point. There was a small frame where I would have used it, but now I move on to the Frost Moon. This actually drops some weapons for the mage, specifically 2, and I very quickly get 1, which is a fantastic weapon. Out DPS is basically all the mage weapons in the game, in the right circumstances. The Razor Pine. It absolutely minces single targets. I use the Razor Pine to kill an Ice Queen, and then another Ice Queen, and then the Frost Moon passes, and I unfortunately don't get the other weapon that I wanted, but Razor Pine will do just fine. I then went to the Pumpkin Moon, which actually drops a weapon that I want as well. After dealing with a bunch of Morning Woods and Pumpkins, I didn't get it, so I just moved on to the Empress of Light. With the Broomstick that I got from a Morning Wood, I have good maneuverability against this boss, and I was able to swap out my wings and boots and dash for survivability and damage accessories. Now, my Razor Pine is doing good damage, not as much damage as a summoner would do, but still respective damage here. I make sure to hit her with my Venom Staff to get that Venom debuff on her, and I just keep shooting my Razor Pine until she gets the second phase. Then her attacks get a bit more crazy. I actually get down super low because of a contact hit, but I switch to my hood to get that life steal regen, and suddenly I'm back to full health. That's how crazy the hood is. And with no real problems, now at full health, the Empress of Light has been defeated. Unfortunately, the magic weapons that the Empress drops, although they're really cool, I can't use them. I then ventured into the Lizard Temple, clearing it out, mostly using the Witch's Broom to dodge all the traps and looting all the chests I come across. This labyrinth is absolutely huge, but I finally get to the end of it, and I brought a paint roller to illuminate the whole room. Once again, I'm gonna fight him in his room. I'm not gonna hoik out, because people have started to claim that I can't beat the challenge because I glitched my way out of the temple. No, let me show you that I can beat it in the Golem's room, no problems. I just need to illuminate it first, which takes forever. And now with the Golem's room illuminated, I spawned him in. The Razor Pine isn't exactly easy to hit the Golem with when he's this tiny. I mean, most weapons are kind of difficult. I switched to the Spectre Staff for a bit, but honestly, the DPS wasn't that good. The Razor Pine's just better, even if I'm missing. I do destroy both the Golem's hands, and the head separates from the torso. Things are going very well. I'm using the Witch's Broom for maximum survivability and damage, because I know I can just switch to the hood if I'm low. But just like that, the Golem has been easily defeated. This is kind of where Mage thrives. Having the hood in the back is absolutely crazy. I spawn in the Golem again, healing up if I get low, beating it, no problems. Fight it again, beat it again, fight it again, beat it again, and again. You know how the Golem goes. It's just an endless gauntlet of trying to get one drop. I end up dying, and then I'm done with it. I'm not gonna fight the Golem anymore. We know how this went last time. I went to an underground glowing mushroom biome, found a truffle worm, and I spawned in Duke Fishron. I didn't even buff for this. I didn't really see a point in it. I'm just gonna beat it anyway. With the soaring insignia, infinite flight, master ninja gear, it should be a complete breeze. The Razor Pine is kind of shredding him. I did use a mana regeneration potion though. The Razor Pine shoots so many projectiles that the bubbles really are no problem. Duke Fishron gets down to second phase. I'm using the Venom Staff to inflict venom on it, and the Inferno Fork to inflict hellfire on it, and the Razor Pine for just general DPS. Duke Fishron then gets down to third phase. Now, one contact hit from Duke Fishron will absolutely cripple me, so I need to be really careful. I need to be counting the dashes, but easy as cake. Duke Fishron is defeated, and we get the flare on, no wings, so I spawn him in again, and I dashed into him and died to him in one shot. I then spawned in the Old One's army and got absolutely pantsed by it. I literally just couldn't defeat it no matter what I did. Betsy was too much, so I gave up on my beautiful visions of Betsy wings. Oh, for some Betsy wings. So now I have to opt to Duke Fishron wings or Empress of Light wings. I mean, this happens every playthrough. I'm just wanting Empress wings or Duke Fishron wings, and it takes me forever. I know you guys are probably sick of it because I'm sick of it, but after many Empress kills and Duke Fishron kills, can you guess which one I got? Empress or Duke? Make your bets right now. It was Duke Fishron wings. It's always Duke Fishron wings. Do I prefer the Empress wings? Probably, but whatever. Duke Fishron wings are more than enough. I then fought the Frost Moon again, trying to get the missing weapon in my arsenal, which fell into my inventory, the Blizzard Staff. I then spawned in the Lunatic Cultist. I actually didn't buff for this. I just used some pretty generic buffs. Magic power, mana regeneration, and just some food. Man's gotta eat. The Razor Pine is shredding the Lunatic Cultist, doing good damage. I make sure to hit the right Lunatic, otherwise the fight will drop into mayhem. I do have the mask for lifesteal if I need it. I make sure to dodge those Ancient Lights because they absolutely hurt. He does one last clone attack, and I actually die by the Ancient Light because I got cocky because it was so low, but I end up killing him at the exact same time. Now there are celestial creatures invading. First one I headed over to was the Vortex. I tried to cheese it, but portals kept appearing in the box, and I kept dying by it. I had no idea how to actually cheese this pillar, but I finally figured it out. You need at least one block gap, otherwise the portals will spawn in your box. So now with it properly placed, I only died once, and there goes the Vortex pillar. I then went over to the Solar pillar, realized I don't really like the Solar pillar, and went over to the Nebula pillar, which isn't much better. I tried to cheese it, but it really wasn't working. This is apparently the right cheese. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but the Nebula floaters just end up going straight into me. So I just keep dying, going back until the pillar has been defeated, and then I set up a cheese for the Solar pillar. I kill enough enemies, destroy the pillar, and now all that remains is the Stardust pillar, which I easily destroy. And now the Moon Lord is coming. This is my final loadout. Nothing too crazy. It honestly could be better. I'd probably swap out like the Avenger emblem for something like a Destroyer emblem or a Celestial Shell even. But here we go. Moon Lord fight, wands only. He spawns in, does 100 damage to me off bat, but I hit his top eye for as much damage as possible with the blizzard staff, and then I go straight to the left eye. I did make some super healing potions, so those will come in handy. The top eye opens up, do some big damage with the razor pine. I'm mainly just using the razor pine here. It's quite consistent and big damage. The razor sharp Christmas tree needles are doing quite a bit of damage. I did actually swap on some dark artist armor, keeping the helmet but using the robes and the leggings. It makes my crit chance way higher, which makes my damage output pretty crazy. I'm getting quite low here though. I'm under 200 health. The laser comes out. I'm cutting it kind of close, but I do dodge it. I get hit by a projectile though. I'm under 150 health, but I'm keeping on the outskirts. I'm generating as much health as possible, and I do get a super heal potion off. So we're looking much better now. The hands are getting relatively low now. The top eye comes out and I do some big damage, and it's just rinse and repeat. I then take out the top eye, take a bit of damage, and then destroy the left hand eye, but take contact damage with the true Eye of Cthulhu that comes out of the left eye socket. So now I'm panicking. I'm just staying on the outside, hoping that the final eye is destroyed, but mainly just regenerating. But 2 projectiles hit me back to back, and I die instantly from 220 health. So there's one thing missing in my arsenal that I want to grab. It's in the pumpkin moon. I kill a few pumpkins, and I end up getting the bat scepter. This will work as our final homing wand that we can use on the outside like we were just then to do damage while running away from the moon lord. The first part of the fight really doesn't change much. I'm just attacking the hands and then the top eye. Not too much to say. I did get pretty low at some point, but I got a heal off, so we were doing fine. I then hit the top of the world, and I had no space right before the death laser, so it ended up hitting me just. Let's try it again. I get the moon lord to the same spot. I take the top eye out of its socket, then the left. Now, I didn't even end up using the bat scepter here for some reason. I was on the outside. I just kept using the razor pine. It ended up working out, and now all the eyes have fallen out of the socket, and this is when I used the bat scepter to attack the core at a range. But after a bit, I decided the damage just wasn't that great, so I went in and started attacking the core with my razor pine. It is a bit more dangerous, but the damage is much better, and I got a heal off, so we're looking pretty good. I dodged the circle of eyes that the True Eye of Cthulhu's are throwing at me. I decided to switch it to the blizzard staff, see if that does more damage. It seemed to be doing pretty good damage. It was definitely out DPSing the razor pine at this range, but I switched it back to the razor pine to finish off the moon lord. A game just stuttered and lagged for a bit. I don't know why. The moon lord tried to crash my PC, but that's not even gonna work. The moon lord has been vanquished with wands only Terraria legendary mode for the worthy. Let's freaking go. Now, unfortunately, there's not really any end game wand stuff. I did get the lunar flare, but I can't use it because it's not a wand, it's a spell book. There's not really much to do. I fought the Martian Madness for the hell of it, and then the Queen Slime because I didn't fight her. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. An actual mage only challenge. Some of you have been asking for this, so I hope you enjoyed. Hit that sub button. We're trying to hit 200,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys next time.